Hi guys, and welcome back to the next episode of Final Call. I just want to say thank you for all the support on that first episode. It was fantastic. I was not expecting that at all. And if you're enjoying this one, hit that like button, subscribe and ring that bell for me. Without further ado, let's get back into the game. So obviously we're on to night 2 now. You open one eye. You start whistling. Some song that's been in your head since you woke up, though you don't know why. It's going to be a long night. You get up quickly, and a few minutes later you're outside of your studio. Night 2. So obviously, like I say, we've got now these new icons on the map. So you've got your fuel, and we've got this one, which is what we're going to go to now. And this is basically a hint towards the investigation. You park a few streets away from the Argentinian embassy. You wait there for your contact. You sigh. It seems odd to have a contact, so excessive. The guy is one of your regular poker buddies, a night watchman at the embassy. You get out of your taxi and walk towards the big metal gate. Clean lines, early 20th century maybe, lots of wrought iron. The gate opens and someone moves towards you. They indicate you should follow them. The person's face is hidden by an oversized hoodie. Your heart starts beating faster. What if it was? You walk into the narrow covered passageway, probably the entrance to a parking garage. The man turns around and lights up a cigarette. The lighter lights up his face for a second. A young man with curly hair, pale skin. He looks young, very young. That'll be €250. For the intel? Yeah, for the intel. He laughs, a strange guttural sound. What do you think this was? A date? You want information on Grudsteiger? I got info on Grudsteiger, and it'll cost you €250. So what'll be? He raises his hands in front of his chest. His accent becomes stronger. No, €250 or nothing. If someone learns I fished around, they'll find me on the spot. So we're going to pay that. Listen up, because I'm not going to say it twice. Grudsteiger is definitely a colonel from the junta, one of the few who wasn't arrested and put on trial. He is responsible for torturing dozens of political opponents. He tortured and killed them. You know, we don't like him much here, but the rich Argentinians in Paris love him. They really respect him. Respected him. The difference doesn't seem important to him. Yeah, if it makes you happy. He looks back at you. There's one last thing. I read in the newspaper that the killer wrote a message in chalk. Time's up. It was a slogan at the end of junta. A sort of watchword from the opponents. It was time for them to go. You get it? You nod. A second later, you're back in your taxi with a hole in your wallet, but with new information on one of the victims. If you follow this lead, maybe your investigation will move forward. You start the car and get back to your shift. So, some information there for us, and we'll come pick up this guy. Phil Bourgois. The passenger who settles into the back seat could be a male model. He asks you to take him to Charles de Gaulle Airport. His voice is mild and pleasant. You sense your passenger wants to talk about the killer. It's simple. Since the first murder, everyone thinks they know something. Everyone thinks they saw something. And this passenger is no exception. You watch him in the rearview mirror as he adjusts his clothes, checks his breath, obviously primping. You drive people to the airport all the time. They bring along a suitcase or a bouquet of flowers. Your passenger doesn't have either. He's looking at himself in the rearview mirror, his lips part as he runs his tongue over his teeth. Nothing stuck in my teeth, right? You shake your head no. You wonder why he's going to the airport. You're wondering why I'm going to the airport, aren't you? Yes. I could tell you was curious. I'll tell you, but it's a secret. His voice has changed as if he was about to deliver a speech. Women today are too smart for us men. Too smart. They're onto us the minute we try to hit on them. He crinkles his nose as if there was a bad smell in the cab. There are dozens of books on how to get lucky, on how to score, but they all make the same big mistake. Do you know what the mistake I'm talking about is? They're written by men. I don't see why that's a problem. After all, they don't write books on hunting, do they? He smirks. No, let me tell you. All those books about hitting on women never tell you where the best hunting grounds are. A theatrical pause. Airports. Another theatrical pause. It's brilliant, right? Women in airports are lonely, emotional, and available. On the street, they're always in a hurry, don't have any time. The movies or in museums, they don't want to be disturbed. But at the airport, he's clearly very proud of himself. He remains silent. He crinkles his nose and sniffs again. Is it me? Or is there a funny smell in your cab? You sniff too. Sorry, I don't smell anything. He shrugs, then goes back to his monologue. Personally, I prefer older women. Single mums who are at the airport to pick up or send their kids to their exes. They are waiting at the unaccompanied minors counter to get information about a late flight or a gate change. I walk over to the counter, look at the flight information, pretend to be worried. My sister, I say, I'm waiting for my little sister. She's never been to Paris before. I'm going to take her to the Louvre. She wants to work in the fashion someday. She's already very talented. I hope everything's okay, that she had a good flight. She means the world to me. She's my half-sister, but I love her like a sister. A smile. Takes another sniff, glances around the cab, then picks up where he left off. The half-sister line, it works every time. Divorced parents, remarried. Every time. He bursts out laughing. A word of advice though. You have to get there early. Make a day of it. Keep an eye on domestic flights, the delays, the companies. It requires little preparation, but I usually go home with 20, even 30 numbers. In 6 hours. Not bad, eh? I think we'll interrupt him now. Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? No, of course, not at all. Anything to help you understand my game plan. Do you really need to go through all that? I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at. Well, you're rather attractive, physically. A slight pause. And? Is it really necessary to go through all that trouble to pick up women? Don't women like you? That's beside the point. It's more efficient, more productive, and I go on the make twice a week and end up with dates for several weeks. And it's also a lot easier. It's less, how should I put it? Personal. I know it won't ever get serious, and that's what I'm looking for. Do you see what I mean? You are afraid of women. What does that have to do with anything? You talk about women as if they might hurt you. So you hurt them to protect yourself. He bursts out laughing, but you can see he's uncomfortable. Wow, you're a shrink and a cab driver, am I right? I have to say, it's a great idea for drumming up more business. It's a downright revolution. Another nervous laugh. We're talking about scoring here. No need to go and get all worked up. It's not like anyone died or anything. There's a slight tremor in his voice. If they don't want to give me their number, they don't give me their number. I never insist. And a lot of guys do stuff that's like worse, right? So enough of the feminist bullshit theory. The cab pulls up to drop off point. Your passenger pays the fare in a hurry. Climbs out the cab, then turns around somewhat hesitant. To be perfectly honest, you shouldn't talk to your passengers like that. His voice takes on an unpleasant whining tone. It's not very professional. If I had an app, I'd give you a bad rating. He squares his shoulders and is about to walk off. You should wash your cab too. It smells like shit. He walks away. Under the sole of his right shoe, you catch sight of a dark brown spot. The passenger disappears into the airport. You roll down the back seat window and start up the cab. I didn't get a tip from him. What a surprise. Who do we fancy this time? We'll go in. Okay, apparently I just got to drive the long way around for this chick. Okay. In that case, we'll change his minds. The passenger who's entered your cab slams the door and stares at you intently. Good evening. Are you kidding? That's how you want this to start? I'm not sure I follow. A small laugh escapes her. Naturally. But of course. If I was to say to you... Her voice is slightly raspy with an oddly metallic sound. October 27th. That's the date, the night of the attack, the night you... Could this woman be the judge? 10:46 p.m. No, the attack took place later. Does that ring a bell? You nod your head. Yes, it does, miss. Don't you miss me. Not another word. She wags an accusing finger at you. Last October 27th, you were in this very cab, driving a fare, and you committed a crime. That's right, sir, a crime. I spent the whole day working like an idiot for that rotten newspaper. Do you have any idea what I do for a living? I'm a sub-editor, Mr. Taxi driver. I correct mistakes that a bunch of moron journalists make. There isn't a single one, not one, who knows how to write a proper sentence. I'd had it, really had it, and on the night of October 27th, you cut me off. I couldn't care less. I'm simply telling you my story, my problem. You cut me off on the night of the accident. I almost died that night. She grinds her teeth, you shudder. I crashed my car, my boyfriend's car that is. The same guy who made yet another comment about women drivers. The neighbours called the police that night. I made such a scene. To think the guy dares to call himself a feminist. She pauses for dramatic effect as a disturbing smile spreads over her face. And what does that have to do with anything? Everything. Her voice is suddenly noticeably quieter, almost fragile. The next day, no more boyfriend. No more car. I messed up a job interview with a major news outlet, a paper where people know how to write, where they follow basic rules of French grammar. Imagine, for just a minute, I could have stopped correcting copy for a bunch of morons. She takes a deep breath. But all because of you, because of your cab, everything changed on the night of October 27th. A sad, faraway look comes over her. My life has never been the same since, but her voice is bursting with fury and hatred. Forced to go and live with my mother while I went apartment hunting in this rotten city where tiny studios cost an arm and a leg. So I started looking for you. The back of your neck breaks into a sweat. You can feel a cold, clammy droplets about to drip down your spine. I started asking around. I bribed one of your colleagues into giving me your number. Droplet of sweat starts sliding down your back. Then I found your address, your first one that is. You shiver as the drop reaches your boxers. But that's your business. What matters is I did eventually get your other address, the real one. The droplets reach your tailbone. You've started shaking. At first, I admit, I was planning on going to your place. She shrugs her shoulders, her voice has softened a little. Just maybe to spit in your face, or something like that. And then I thought to myself, no, Ludwine, maybe the guy deserves a chance. You never know. So you're going to apologise. Go on, give it your all. Take your time. Take a deep breath. She breathes in deeply, then exhales. Like that. Look, I have other things to deal with, not just an accident that happened months ago. The one in the backseat tilts her head almost imperceptibly, yeah, that word, like a cat ready to pounce. You don't know who I am, and frankly, I don't care. I want to do my job, to mind my own business. She smiles. I couldn't care less. about the police. This is what we're going to do. She's in control, holding back, trying to contain her feelings. I'm going to get out of this cab and disappear into the night. She's staring intently, her eyes boring into your body inch by inch. Just between you and me, I hope you've got good insurance for this jalopy. Because one day you're going to wake up and you won't have any tyres left, or your windshield. Maybe you won't have a car at all. She opens the door and exits the cab with the same energy as when she got in. Are you threatening me? She doesn't hear you, or she's ignoring you. You unfasten your seatbelt and get out of the car. She's vanished into thin air. You sense a movement behind you, your heart leaps into your mouth, you turn around. It's a jogger, dressed for a polo expedition. He passes by without even seeing you. You hear the music in his headphones, it sounds like Gregorian chants. Your heart is pounding, you climb back into the car, slam the door shut, and take a moment to catch your breath. You're alone in a taxi, your head spinning slightly as if you had a drink. Just one, but something really strong. You briefly try to remember that night. Nothing but a vague impression of something behind you, the killer's silhouette, a fleeting presence. You shake your head, there's nothing more than before. If only you'd turned around, everything would be easier if you'd seen the face of. All at once you start the cab. So she was a lovely lady. The passenger gets into the cab and gives you her address. Her voice is muted, far away. You start up the cab. She appears rather meek, subdued, like she's about to fade away. You look up at her. She returns your gaze, but she's not there. It's as if you weren't looking at an actual person, but at a silhouette instead, in the shape of a human being. Would you like some music? Music? She pauses. I don't know, if you want. This is my bad French accent. She breaks off again. What kind of music do you have? Whatever's on the radio. I never listen to the radio. I don't really know if it's any good. Maybe... She seems to weigh in her options. Jazz? The passenger looks at you for a moment or two, clearly surprised. Jazz? She hesitates, thinks it over, and nods at last. You press the search button for a jazz station and eventually find one. A droning trumpet getting all worked up, accompanied by drums and bass. You've never really understood jazz. It's funny, music like that is so impenetrable. Would you like to change the stations? No, it's fine. Really, I like it. My thesis supervisor listens to a lot of jazz. With time, I begin to like it too. Your thesis? Yes. Not another word. She turns her head slightly as if thinking about something unpleasant. What's the subject? The progressive nuns of Rance Abbey at the dawn of the industrial era. The air in the cab seems icy. Sounds very specific. Extremely, too much so, no doubt. My field of research is terribly limited and... How should I put it? She sighs. It's deadly boring, a subject that no one else is interested in. My thesis supervisor, for a start, my parents, my ex, and worst of all, even me. She stares at you. The subject is a trap. It's never been explored and informs our perception of women in the 18th century. But no one is interested in it. That's how it goes. I got used to my thesis, to the subject. Doctoral theses are rarely interesting, you know. But mine, I think I've hit the rock bottom. You shouldn't say that. I don't need your pity. She speaks in cool, clipped tones without any animosity. You find it disconcerting. I chose the path I'm on. I'm entirely accountable for it. She hesitantly lifts a hand. But I'm the one who chose my thesis. Me and no one else. To be honest, it will no doubt be the only thing that reminds me when I die. You shouldn't say things like that. She shrugs. You're right, there's nothing more to be said on the subject. Her wry smile tucks to the corner of her mouth as she enjoys the thought of seeing a loathsome people suffer. My parents think... Her voice falters, she is unable to go on. It takes a few seconds to pluck up the courage to speak again. My parents think I've made a mess of my life. I know they do. They haven't said so, of course. They are there for me, they help me, but deep down they know it's too late. The jazz number on the radio has become distinctly more aggressive, almost dissonant. You briefly consider turning down the volume, then change your mind. I'm 28. I'm doing a doctoral thesis on 18th century nuns. My brothers went to top business schools and earned MBAs. They're married and have children. And me, I'm compiling pages and pages of information on nuns. You pull up the pastor's address, an opulent-looking building in the 16th arrondissement. The young woman is perfectly still, seemingly paralysed. She looks up and slowly seems to realise where she is. Sorry. Her voice is faint, almost inaudible. She hands you the fare and exits the cab without a word. A moment later, she's walking away, heading towards her building. You sit there for a moment longer, then start up the cab. A nice little urn. Might go for this one. Let's see what she's got to say, and this might take us up to the end of the night once I've also refueled. So I want to know what you're all thinking about the game so far. Are you enjoying it? Is it something you'd like to play? The door opens. Jackie settles in the back seat. She's a regular. Jackie again. Good to see you, hon. You smile and start the cab. I've got some news for you. Shoot. She stares at you intently. I don't know what you've gotten yourself into. She leans a little closer. Her voice is deep and warm. It has a hypnotic effect on you. Anyhow, listen up. I know this guy who works in... She starts telling you about him. At first you don't see the connection with the investigation, and then the penny drops. When she's done, she leans back against her seat. Thanks, Jackie. I owe you one. Yeah, I know. She gives you a wink. Suddenly she seems pensive. Everything okay, Jackie? The sound of your voice almost makes her jump. Yeah. Everything's fine. She starts talking all at once. She speaks quickly, an incessant flow. I already told you how shitty the new law is, huh? You nod yes. Jackie's referring to the law to find sex worker clients. One of my regulars came back to see me today. Did you know they're going to make them take a class now too? A class? Yeah, a class. Clients are already paying fines and now they're being forced to attend a 2-day class. Sure, go on and tell them it's not normal to see a prostitute. This client of mine, I know he didn't like it much, but he told me they were arrogant, you know, like they were talking down to convicted clients or something. I don't understand the government, the politicians. We exist, we're not going away, we pay taxes too. Do you realise that? I pay taxes, like you, like everyone else. A pause. Almost everyone, that is, in this goddamn country today. The richer you are, the less you pay. What a mess. She grows contemplative for a moment. When she speaks again, her voice is gruff. I'm only doing my job, you know. There are people who come to talk to us. To talk to us about reinsertion and all that. It's great for young girls who just started. But for the transvestites, the Uruguayans and Colombians, there's no way they're going to find work by themselves. And me, it's been too long. There's no way I'm going to be a checkout person in a grocery store. First of all, I'd run into clients all the time. She smiles, proud of a little joke. No, serious. It's just that it's my job. I chose to do it. There's a great advantage in this line of work. Even you didn't choose. The ride continues for a while in silence. To me, what's really outrageous? She seems saddened by the conversation. What really gets me is the fact they're not helping us any more than before. The cops, the state police, the whole lot. They ignore us just like before. They threaten us just like before. They make fun of us just like before. Like they only passed a law for the money. $1,500 for the first offence. $3,000 the second. Pretty stiff price for a trick. The upshot, we have fewer clients. Makes sense, huh? A funny country we live in. The land of the rights of man and all that. Her voice tinged with anger. Rights my ass. Jackie, the only ones who come round now are the regulars or the basket cases. Or the guys who don't know what they're risking. Yeah, particularly the guys who don't know what they're in for. She gives a funny laugh. It sounds like crushed metal. That's an interesting laugh. It's good business for the cops, at any rate. You just stand there in the alley, you wait for a car to park, you nab the client when he's getting out of the van. And presto, $1,500. You nab 4 or 5 a night and you're set to go. Funny country, the land of human rights and all that. You check off all the boxes, your boss is happy, you get your bonus. And this without thought for good old Jackie and her clients. She shrugs. A moment later you pull into the side street where Jackie lives. The building is poor repair and hall lights flickering. You park in the first available space. Always a pleasure, honey. She pays the fare with a few crumpled bills and coins. That's all I have. No problem. She smiles. Good night, hon. She gets out of the cab and walks slowly over to the entrance of her building. She's not much of a hurry to get home. And of course I owe her free ride from last time. What do we have? I mean, we've got time for one more, I think. So we'll go to the nearest guy. The door opens and your passenger collapses into the back seat. His eyes are hidden behind a pair of large dark glasses. His clothes reek of sweat and booze. A clubber. He mumbles his destination and you start driving. A few words are exchanged, the weather, taxes, traffic. Then you can tell it's coming, the inevitable conversation about the killer. Some bits of information, rumours, things overheard. You might make a mental note of what you've heard. Who knows, it might come in handy. Your mind wanders, your eyes vaguely scan the store windows. The sodium light coming off the street lamps feels like it's dripping into your brain. You're falling asleep, you need a bit of music to keep you awake. We'll just turn it on. You turn the radio on, pressing the dial to find a station you like. 80s rock ballads, too soft. Behind you, your passenger is snoring, barely, but you can hear him. Gregorian chant, mind-numbing. Some slow rap song filled with fake female orgasm noises, not of a passenger in the car. Two journalists discussing new evidence in the investigation into the judge's murders. The information they share, salon talk, nothing more, seems important nonetheless. An ad interrupts the torrent of words and you change the station. Classical music again, the flute grates on your ear. Stop. You lift your hand from the dial, the music plays on. No, not bad. Turn it up so I can hear better. I didn't want to wake you. His voice sounds like it's coming from a deep cavern. I wasn't sleeping, just sobering up. He leans forward. Not bad at all. You heard a touch of an accent, probably an American, but someone who's lived most of his life in France. Leave it on until they say the musician's name. The music continues, there's something turning in the background. A persistent melody that gets higher and higher. Your client mumbles. I bet. The song is coming to an end and the announcer, in a piercing foghorn voice, throws out the name of a DJ you've never heard of. DJ Blunt. I knew it. You like his stuff? Yeah, good product. It's pretty conventionally structured, but it's super popular. He snickers. Still. I taught that dude everything he knows. Everything. In '94, at a party at a Rex Club, there was this kid who started buying me rounds. He waves his hand around. A kid, no older than 17. I thought he was hitting on me. He chuckles. He would have been disappointed. He shakes his head. No, he wanted me to teach him how to spin. I told him no, but you can watch. And that's exactly what he did. Every week until he moved to the Osiris. He sold X to pay his way in. He briefly snickers. And now he's on the radio. Silence fills the cab, Wade's silence. You can tell your passenger's mind is spinning. You know what he did this summer? It was the opener for the soccer championship at Stade de France. It was huge. Wonder what people think if they knew he was selling drugs at 17. He lowers his voice a bit. If only they knew. Your passenger clams up. You notice a woman crossing the street at a crosswalk. She speeds up and she walks by two men talking loudly. We ran into each other in a beef 4 or 5 years ago. You almost jump at the sound of his voice. I was spinning this little club, yeah, really low, but it was something. He totally ignored me, of course. Even with his dark glasses, you can see how angry he is. DJ motherfucking cunt. He suddenly starts waving his arms around and rummages through his pockets as he says, your radio. Can it take a flash drive? You glance at your radio, you don't really know what he's talking about. I don't know. No worries. He lays his phone in the space between the two front seats. Listen to this. It's what I played tonight. It's mine. He sets his phone to play. But, people were barely dancing. A drum machine playing a hard-edged beat in the background. They were talking, taking each other's pictures. 4 notes start to dance in the cab. They barely touch, never kiss anymore. The perfect dance beat becomes progressively audible. All that. A purely electronic crescendo plays. Is over. There's a break in the music. Synthesized strings calm the song down without slowing it down. At least. The song is getting intense again. Explodes as your passenger drifts off. I got people dancing. The song keeps going for another minute, then stops. Your passenger doesn't budge. You drive to the rhythm is snoring. The sound fills the cab. Ideas are bouncing through your head, like they do every time you find yourself alone. This guy in the back seat is too old to be young. You look at your own hands. They look like they're suddenly aging in time lapse. You close your eyes a second. Only a second. When you open them, you've reached your destination, pulled over to the sidewalk. You tap your passenger's knee and he wakes up with a start. Shit, yeah? We're here, sir. Ah, yes, great. He rummages through his pockets and hands you a few rumpled bills for the fare. Thanks, I hope you liked it. Silence. The music, my music, the song I played you. I should have been in the spotlight, you see. 15 minutes of fame. Just a minute of. He stifles a burp. You hear him mumble as he leaves the taxi. Those whiskey and orange really screw with my system. You see him stagger towards his building. It takes him several tries to get the door open. He finally disappears inside. You heave a long sigh. Okay, come on. And then we will go and fill the cab up. Ready for night number 3. You pull over and stop at a gas station. Not a soul in sight. The refreshment lights irritate your eyes, and the smell of pee is wafting up to space in between the pumps. It's self-service here. You pay directly at the pump. The mini-mart over there. It must sell newspapers. The person behind the counter must see and hear things. It might be worth asking a couple of questions. You don't always know why, but Parisian gas stations are always frightening. You check out your surroundings before getting on a taxi. So we'll fill up the tank. Bargain. And we'll go to the shop where you walk into the mini mart. The guy behind the counter looks at all the other guys behind counters you come across in your lifetime. Hi. We'll buy a newspaper and let's buy a scratch card. And not a winner. Surprise, surprise. And let's talk with a clerk. Say, a guy like you, someone who spends most nights here, you must know something about the killer, right? He raises his head and seems almost happy you brought it up. The guy behind the counter barely looks at you as you leave. You get into your taxi and drive away. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually something grabs your eye. It's a quite involved article about the infamous police leaks affair. Who, why, and how all that confidential data is released to the public. The Justice Department is now looking at corrupt and violent cops who are known to be out of line. Concerned associations applaud how transparent they are being. Yet the more you read, the more you get the impression that the journalist does not agree with their methods. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. It's a short article mentioning the strike led by a handful of employees of Confiseries du Marais, a luxury candy brand. The employers demand better wages. The owners, the Groupe du Monde, are threatening to relocate their factories abroad. You only have a third left to read. We might as well finish him. As soon as you get to the page you stop. Your instinct tells you to look at. It's an article about the recent police leaks incident that retraces another data leak. 2 years ago, a bunch of confidential police documents were accidentally released. Documents about Ronan Besson, Charles Bougoin, and Simon Gorodisca, the judge's first 3 victims. Intriguing. You shut the paper, it'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember it's there, otherwise it'll spend the rest of its days in your glove compartment. And so that's the end of that tonight. And obviously we've met the fill, start balance and ending balance after I paid for my investigation. It's an expensive night. But 280, that's okay. So now let's go and see what clues we've got. At the foot of your front door, just behind the drain pipe, you notice an envelope. It's thick and heavy. You can just make out your name written in thick black mark on the front. Your real name. You take a deep breath and go inside. In the envelope you find more information, just as Bussett promised. You lay them on the table. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. A bus goes by, making the wall shake. It's time to get moving on your investigation. Picture a crime scene 4. Police report victim 1. And I don't have time for them ones, so let's split them out a bit. It looks like Claudia Campos has a lot of evidence against her at the moment. But remember what it says at the start, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's her. Just means that she was it's got to be the most compelling evidence. With heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. So that's going to be the end of this episode, guys. Thank you very much for coming by again. Say if you like this video, smash that like button. We're going to aim for 10 likes on this video, and we'll be back again on Monday for the next episode. Till next time, I'm out. See you.